thank you very much for the invite to this panel. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of LABELL-D. So it's like the world's, let's say, first closed-loop fashion ecosystem, how we call it, and I will go a bit more into detail what that actually means later on. But I think when we think about the fashion industry, we need to think about that it's actually touching each and every one of us, right? We all wear fashion products. We all want to express our personalities with fashion. So it is an extremely important medium. And I think every time I kind of reflect on that sentence, it really makes me realize that fashion has a significant impact on obviously the planet, but also on us as consumers, and also on obviously the brands who are producing the products. And I think, let's say, on top of this, let's say over the last years, the fashion consumption in general has significantly increased, right? We are producing more, we are consuming 15 times more fashion items every year than, let's say, 60 years ago. And I think last week, for example, I was reading a very interesting article, and it was stating toothbrushes. And so it was really saying yes, we are changing our toothbrushes roughly every 3 months, but in this 3 months, we already bought 10 products to kind of stock our wardrobes. So I think that I have never thought about this before in that perspective, and that made me really realize, oh wow, that is significant. And on top of this, let's say every single second, a massive amount of products are ending up in landfills, right? They are just waste, they're going to disposal. And I think, why is this happening? Because it is an industry which has been driven over years now in a purely linear system, meaning, let's say, companies, the brands, they are producing products. At the same time, they are selling them, we are buying them, and then we are disposing them, right? So what has that driven? That's obviously growth in the fashion industry. Growth of companies has been purely driven by that, because it was more about generating more products, bringing products out more frequently, bringing trends out more frequently. Some companies are producing, let's say, 10 to 24 collections a year, which is significantly more than what we can as consumers even digest. But at the same time, we consumers, we have been, let's say, educated over years that we have to buy more, we have to adapt to new trends, right? We have to use our products less long, and obviously that has caused a significant amount of, let's say, overconsumption, but equally overproduction. And I think, let's say, when we think of what that means that, let's say, to transform this and to actually bring it to a point where the world and the planet and consumption can go hand in hand, we really need to, let's say, statistics say we need to reduce our consumption by 75%. And then the question really is that realistic? Probably not. So and then we are looking on the other side, when we look into fashion and, let's say, the total, I would say, economy, we are saying that roughly 9% of the economy today are circular. When we look into fashion, it is less than 1%. And so when we see this opportunity, obviously, of 99% being transformed into a circular economy, then yes, that is a massive opportunity, but at the same time, right, it is a massive challenge. And the industry is partially ready for it, is partially starting to make changes, but probably not at the speed we need the changes to happen. On top of that, we have, let's say, the sustainability question. I think we heard before that, let's say, the word sustainability is still very much a meaningless word, and that in fashion is absolutely the case, because we don't have yet an industry-wide standard which kind of says, okay, that's the right thing, or that's the right thing to do, that's the wrong thing to do, that's the right thing to produce products, and that's what we have to avoid. That's not happening. I mean, governments are starting starting to stand up to this challenge. So with, for example, the European Union releasing, let's say, a product ID, a digital product ID to track products from the beginning. But again, also here, we need to accelerate the change and the shift. We have seen, let's say, new business models emerging, like obviously the growth of the resale sector in fashion. We can see that rental projects are gaining really traction, that there's like investment going into the areas of repair and recycling and also, let's say, new eco-fibers. But as I said before, it's not happening at the speed we want it to happen. And so I think, next slide. And that is, let's say, where we come in as labeled. So our mission is really to start there, to really kind of, let's say, accelerate the shift towards a circular economy by kind of combining what hasn't been combined before. So we see rental and resale and new, let's say, new products. We see it very much as isolation, as different business models. So with Labelled, we are really, let's say, the first platform which is combining everything. That might sound a little bit, oh wow, that is a massive project, but it really actually does make sense because the models in isolation also don't work. So you really have, let's say, from a revenue stream perspective, it does make sense to say we have, let's say, we sell the new products, we also do the resale, we do the rental, and we combine it into one platform where consumers have a single checkout. But at the same time, brands are incentivized by earning royalties along, let's say, the circular product journey to really participate in it. So I think we, how you can read, so we turn products into assets, and that really kind of allows us to unleash the value of this product for a consumer. So let's say as a consumer enters our platform, he buys a new product and then comes back to, let's say, resell the product, to rent the product, to maybe swap the product. At that stage, he earns his share of keeping the product in the loop. And at the same time, the brand will earn royalties along each of those steps. And so they are really incentivized to join us. We are part of, let's say, the British Fashion Council, which is, let's say, super, we are super excited about that because we really want to drive the conversation about the circular economy in fashion forward. And yeah. Yes.
Very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Does that tell me that where I might, because it's very me, buy a $10 jumper,
Yeah.
that model might encourage me more to buy a $100 jumper that's a much higher quality and
Yes,
last longer,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
the economics that I might make some money back and I know it's going to last longer. So you may be
Yes.
changing the whole proposition of what I buy.
Yeah, so
Right.
you can do that exactly like that. You either buy it second-hand, so then it comes in obviously at like a slightly discounted price, right? Or you say, okay, I want to rent it,
Yeah.
which I rent it for occasion, and that's probably more specific to specific categories in the market. Or you really come in and you buy the product first-hand, and maybe you say, okay, I'm now incentivized to spend a bit more because I know I can get, let's
Seems
say,
to
some
compete
money.
with the whole idea of fast fashion, which is struggling a little bit at the moment, right? So
I mean,
that would be
yes,
a place
I
where the
think-
young people could go and do something that feels good,
Yeah.
doing the right thing. Okay, sorry. Carry
Yeah,
on.
no. So that's very much, let's say, where we are. So we launched the website like this MVP kind of like 2 weeks ago. We had like a massive and very strong reaction from like our consumers, so from the B2C community, and also like a very positive response from, let's say, business partners and brands, big brands in the industry, because they are truly excited about being part of an ecosystem which where they can test as well, let's say, how the different channels work alongside each other, and move into that space with, let's say, probably immediately doing it all together themselves. So that's kind of, let's say, who we are, let's say, what Labelled is standing for. But I also wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of who we are, let's say, the team behind that project. So it's myself, and then there's the second co-founder who is also sitting in the audience. So we started this project 1.5 years ago, and it really let's say, it was quite some time of development, because it is not an easy subject in the sense of like sustainability, circularity in the fashion industry is very much a nascent topic. It's not yet that established, so it really took us time to kind of develop it. But it was born out of the fact that being the founder of this, I'm equally a mother, so I got a child like 4 years ago, which kind of, let's say, really shifted our perspective on the world, I would say. So it was not just anymore about myself and my husband, but it was very much about us as a family, and let's say looking at that child and seeing that child, let's say, growing up, making sure that we can give, you know, that next generation, I would say, the same beautiful world and we live in than what we have now. We don't want them to grow up in a wasteland, right? We don't want them to drink plastic water, and we don't want them to not go out because the sun is too hot. So, and I think that was really, let's say, for us, the turning point where we started to feel that we had to do something, and then obviously that was needed to happen in the fashion industry, because we are professionals in that industry. We have been both working in fashion for more than 20 years and have seen, let's say, the impact of that industry ourselves directly, and yeah, that's how, let's say, LABELL-D came about, and how we started the project, and why we started the project.
Can I ask you one little question?
Yes.
My little research on you, you worked for some very big name fashion brands historically.
Yes.
So you saw, what you saw is what inspired this, right? The waste,
yes.
the speed, the turnaround times, the collections.
Exactly. I think, let's say, what really inspired us to do this was more, let's say, the turnaround time of like collections, and also seeing really in the background that companies are struggling. You know, I mean, fashion is, we should all see kind of fashion as a piece of art, right? We are wearing it, we are expressing ourselves by it, but it's really like we are like producing and churning out trends which we cannot even take in, right? So it's really, that was for us one right. point where we said, like, it just doesn't make sense, that system doesn't make sense, and yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your presentation, it's brilliant. Thank you very much. Good luck with it.